I paid her $7,800 for a family trip to Greece for mom's retirement, only to get a message. We gave your seat to your sister's friend. She needs a getaway more. I texted understood that night. I cancelled every ticket, every tour, every hotel. At the airport, every screen said void. When they got home, the Wi-Fi was dead, the utilities off, and a notice on the door ended everything. My name is Brandon. I'm 29 years old. And if there's one thing I've learned in the last 6 years, it's that being dependable makes you invisible. I work as a software consultant, the kind of job that sounds impressive at family dinners, but gets forgotten the moment my sister Patricia walks into the room. Patricia is 26, works part-time at a boutique, and somehow she's the star of every conversation. Her engagement last year, her new apartment downtown, her plans to start a lifestyle blog. Mom and Dad talk about her like she's building an empire, while I'm just the guy who wires money when the rent is short. It started small, a few hundred here and there when Dad's hours got cut. Then it became monthly. Then it became everything. Their mortgage, car insurance, Patricia's credit card bills. When her boutique job didn't cover her spending, I never asked for credit. I just wanted to help. That's what family does, right? But somewhere along the way, help became expectation. My bank account became their safety net, and my name became the one they only said when they needed something. I remember my 27th birthday. I drove 3 hours to have dinner with them. Patricia was there with her fiancé talking about their wedding vision. Mom had baked a cake, but it had Patricia's favorite flavor, not mine. When I mentioned my promotion at work, Dad nodded once and then asked if I could cover Patricia's wedding photographer deposit. I said yes. I always said yes. 2 months ago, Mom announced her retirement. She'd worked as an office manager for 30 years, and the whole family was buzzing about celebrating her. Patricia suggested a trip. Dad agreed, and then they both looked at me. You'd handle the planning, wouldn't you, Brandon? You're so good at logistics. I smiled. I nodded. I opened my laptop that same night and started researching. Greece. Mom had always talked about wanting to see to walk through the white villages by the blue dome churches. I found flights. I booked a boutique hotel in Oye with a Kalara view. I reserved a sunset wine tour, a private boat trip, and a cooking class in Athens. Every detail perfect. Every review 5 stars. The total came to $7,800. I didn't blink. I just entered my credit card number and hit confirm. This was for Mom. This was her dream. And maybe somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought this trip would be the one where they finally saw me. Not as the wallet, not as the backup plan. Just as Brandon, their son, their brother. I sent the itinerary to the family group chat 2 weeks later. Patricia reacted with 3 heart emojis. Dad replied, "Looks great, son." Mom called me that night, her voice warm and sweet. "This is so generous, honey. You're always taking care of us." I felt something loosen in my chest. Relief, validation. I told her I was excited. I told her I couldn't wait to see her reaction when we landed in Santorini. We're going to make so many memories. And she said I believed her. The days before the trip were a blur. I double-edged checked confirmations. I ordered a new camera. I packed my bag 3 days early, folding my shirts carefully, imagining the photos we'd take together, the sunset dinners, the laughter on the boat. Maybe this time they'd toast to me. Maybe this time I'd feel like I belonged. 2 days before we were supposed to leave, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Mom. I was making coffee when I saw it. My hand froze halfway to the pot. I read the message once, then again, and then a third time, like the words might rearrange themselves into something that made sense. "Hi, honey. Small change of plans. We gave your seat to Patricia's friend Rachel. She just went through a breakup and really needs this getaway more than you. You understand, right? You've traveled before. This will mean the world to her. We'll take lots of pics for you." I stood there in my kitchen staring at the screen. The coffee pot beeped. The morning light came through the window. Everything felt far away, like I was watching myself from across the room. I set the phone down. I picked it up. I read it again. They gave my seat away. The coffee pot was still beeping. I turned it off. My hands were steady, but my chest felt like someone had hollowed a hole through it. I sat down at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd planned every detail of this trip, where I'd spent hours comparing hotels, reading reviews, making sure everything was perfect for Mom's retirement celebration. And now I was reading a text message that erased me from the entire thing. Like I was an inconvenience. "She needs this getaway more than you." I read that line 5 times. More than me. As if I hadn't worked 60-hour weeks to pay for it. As if I hadn't given up my own vacation days. As if my seat, my money, my effort could just be reassigned to a stranger because Patricia's friend had a bad breakup. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Patricia. "Don't be weird about this, Brandon. Rachel is going through a lot. You'll have other chances to travel. Mom is really excited to have her there. She fits the vibe better anyway. Fits the vibe better." I stared at those words until they blurred. I wanted to call them. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask Mom how she could send that message with a smiley face like she was asking me to pick up milk. But instead, I did what I always did. I stayed quiet. I typed a single word and hit send. "Understood," Mom replied 30 seconds later. Thank you for being so understanding. Honey, you're the best. We'll bring you back a souvenir. A souvenir for the $7,800 trip I paid for the seat I was supposed to sit in, for the memories I was supposed to make. I put my phone face down on the table. The apartment was silent. Outside I could hear traffic, life moving forward. But inside, something had shifted. Something had cracked open, and I couldn't close it again. I thought about every time I'd wired them money. Every time I'd said yes when I wanted to say no. Every birthday where my cake had the wrong flavor. Every dinner where my promotion was a footnote and Patricia's new handbag was front-page news. I thought about the mortgage payments I'd been covering for 3 years. The $150 I sent every month like clockwork so they could keep the house, the car insurance, the utilities, the credit card minimums. I thought about how none of them had ever said thank you. Not really, not in a way that meant they saw it, saw me. And now I was being replaced by Rachel. I opened my laptop. The screen lit up, still showing the confirmation page for the hotel in Santorini. 5 nights view suite, prepaid and non-refundable. I stared at it for a long time. Then I opened a new tab. I logged into the booking site. I pulled up the flight reservations. For tickets, Athens to Santorini, return to the US, all under my name, all purchased with my credit card. I clicked on the first one, cancellation policy. I read every word carefully. Then I clicked to cancel. A box popped up. Are you sure you want to cancel this reservation? This action cannot be undone. I didn't hesitate. I clicked yes. The screen refreshed. Reservation cancelled. Confirmation sent to your email. I moved to the next ticket. Cancel, confirm, done. Then the third, the fourth. One by one I dismantled the trip I had built. The hotel in Santorini, the wine tour, the private boat, the cooking class in Athens. Every single prepaid experience. Every reservation I had researched and confirmed and smiled about while imagining Mom's face gone. It took me 40 minutes to cancel everything. By the time I closed my laptop, the sky outside had shifted from morning gray to pale blue. My coffee sat cold on the table. My hands were still steady. I looked at my phone. No new messages. I wondered how long it would take them to realize. I wondered if they'd even check the confirmations before they got to the airport. I wondered if they'd finally say my name when every screen at the ticket counter flashed the same word. Void. That night, I sat in the dark. I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't call anyone. I just sat on my couch with my phone on the cushion beside me, waiting for something I couldn't name. The apartment felt bigger than usual, emptier. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, the faint buzz of the streetlight outside, my own breathing. I kept replaying the text in my head. You understand, right? As if understanding was the same as agreeing. As if my silence over the years had been permission for them to treat me like this. I thought about the first time I sent them money. I just started my job fresh out of college with my first real paycheck. Dad called me on a Thursday night, his voice tight. Brandon, we're a little short this month. Just $400. I'll pay you back next week. He never did, and I never asked. After that it became routine. Mom would text, Patricia would call, and I'd open my banking app and transfer whatever they needed. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself they appreciated it, even if they didn't say it out loud. But somewhere along the way, I stopped being their son and started being their solution. I remembered my college graduation. I'd worked 2 jobs to pay my tuition, lived in a cramped studio with 3 roommates, survived on ramen and hope. When I walked across that stage, I looked into the crowd and saw Mom and Dad. They were smiling, they clapped. And then at dinner afterward, Mom spent 20 minutes talking about Patricia's new internship at a boutique. Patricia, who'd gotten the internship through a family friend. Patricia, who still lived at home and didn't pay rent. Patricia, who got a new car for her birthday while I drove a 12-year-old sedan with a broken air conditioner. I'd smiled through the whole dinner. I'd congratulated Patricia. I'd paid the bill because that's what I did. I was the steady one, the responsible one, the one who didn't cause problems or asked for attention. I worked hard, kept my head down and made sure everyone else was okay, and they loved me for it in their own way. In the way you love a tool that works exactly when you need it. But they didn't see me. Not really. I thought about the trip again, the hours I'd spent researching, the excitement I'd felt booking the hotel. I'd imagined us sitting on the terrace in Santorini watching the sunset and for once, just once, being a family that felt whole. But they gave my seat to Rachel because she fit the vibe better. I stood up and walked to the window. The city stretched out in front of me, glowing and distant. I thought about calling them, explaining, telling them how much the trip had meant to me, how much they'd hurt me, but I knew what would happen. Mom would apologize in that soft, careful way that made me feel guilty for being upset. Dad would say something about overreacting, and Patricia would roll her eyes and tell me I was being dramatic. So, I didn't call. I stood at the window watching the lights, and I made a decision. No more. No more wiring money. No more swallowing my feelings. No more pretending their convenience was the same as my love. They wanted to erase me from the trip, fine, but they were about to realize exactly how much of their lives I'd been holding together. And when they did, I wouldn't be there to fix it. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at my desk and opened every financial file I had. 6 years of records, bank statements, transfer receipts, payment confirmations. I spread them across my screen like evidence at a crime scene. Because that's what it was. A slow, quiet robbery that I'd helped to execute. The mortgage payment started 3 years ago. Dad had called me on a Sunday morning, his voice low and embarrassed. "Brandon, we're in a bind. The refinance fell through and we're 2 months behind. Just until we catch up." I'd send $3,700 that same day. Just until we catch up turned into 36 months. Said $250 every month wired on the first light clockwork. I did the math. $66 to $600 for a house I didn't live in for a mortgage that wasn't mine, and they never mentioned it again. I scrolled further. Car insurance for both their vehicles. $340 a month, 2 years. A DAF, $160. The utilities, internet, electric, water, another $280 monthly, also 2 years, $620. Patricia's credit cards, that one hurt the most. She'd racked up debt buying clothes, furniture, weekend trips with friends. When the minimum payments got too high, Mom had called me. "She's young, Brandon. She doesn't understand money yet. Can you help her just this once?" Just this once became 9 months of $450 payments, $450 total. I sat back in my chair staring at the numbers. $85 or so, $530, $85,000 in 3 years. And not once had any of them asked how I was doing. Not once had they wondered if I could afford it. They just assumed because I never said no, because I never complained.
Because I was dependable, I opened my email and searched for every confirmation I'd ever received. Payment successful. Transfer complete. Autopay scheduled. Hundreds of them. A digital paper trail of my own eraser. Then I opened a spreadsheet and started filling it in. Date, amount, purpose. Every single transaction categorized and highlighted. Mortgage, $66,600. Car insurance, $860. Utilities, $6,720. Credit cards, $4,050, I added. A notes column next to the mortgage. I typed never asked to be repaid, never thanked. Next to Patricia's credit card, still calls me boring at family dinners. Next to the utilities, currently disconnected from family trip I funded. When I finished, the spreadsheet was 8 pages long. I saved it, printed it, and then I sat there holding the pages. Feeling the weight of my own silence turned into proof. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Flying out tomorrow. Thanks again for understanding about the Rachel situation. You're a good brother." A good brother. I looked at the spreadsheet in my hands. I thought about the mortgage payment that was set to auto-transfer in 5 days. The car insurance renewal, next week. The utility bills I'd been paying without question. I opened my banking app. One by one, I canceled every automatic payment. Mortgage deleted. Car insurance removed. Electric, water, internet gone. Each cancellation sent a confirmation email. I watched them populate my inbox like tiny bombs. Timed and waiting. Then I logged into the utility accounts. I wasn't just canceling payments. I was requesting disconnection. Effective immediately. Electric disconnect requested. Water scheduled for shut-off. Internet cancellation confirmed. It would take 3 business days. They'd be in Greece by then. They'd be posting photos on the trip I paid for with Rachel in my seat. While back home, their house went dark. I closed my laptop. For the first time in 6 years, I felt something other than tired. I felt awake. I didn't go to the airport with them, but I knew exactly when they'd arrive. I imagined them pulling up to the terminal laughing. Patricia, probably taking selfies with Rachel. Mum excited. Dad hauling the suitcases. None of them checking their emails. None of them thinking twice about the confirmations. My phone stayed silent all morning. I made coffee. I went for a run. I showered and dressed like it was any other day. But every few minutes, I glanced at my phone, waiting. It came at 9:47 a.m. "Patricia, what the hell did you do?" I stared at the message. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. She was typing fast, furious. "The tickets don't work. The system says they're void. Did you cancel them? Are you seriously this petty?" I didn't reply. Another text, this time from Mum. "Brandon, there's a problem with the reservations. Can you call the airline? We're at the counter, and they're saying everything is cancelled. There must be a mistake." A mistake. I set my phone down. I walked to the window and looked out at the city. Calm, and indifferent. I wondered if they were panicking yet, if Patricia was yelling at the gate agent.
If Rachel was standing there awkwardly, realizing she'd been dragged into something bigger than a free vacation. My phone rang. Dad, I let it go to voicemail. He called again and again. On the fourth attempt I answered. Brandon. His voice was tight, strained. What's going on? Did you cancel the trip? I kept my voice even calm. Yes. Silence. Why would you do that? Because it was my trip, Dad. I paid for it, my money, my reservations. And when you gave my seat away, you made it clear I wasn't part of the family vacation. So I decided you didn't need my money either. I could hear noise in the background. Patricia's voice, sharp and panicked. Someone crying. Maybe Mom. Brandon, this is ridiculous. You're being childish. We can fix this. Just rebook the tickets. We'll pay you back. I almost laughed. With what money, Dad? The mortgage payment I've been covering for 3 years, the car insurance, the utilities. Another silence, longer this time. Brandon, I'm done, I said. I'm done paying for a family that doesn't see me. I'm done being the backup plan. You wanted Rachel on this trip instead of me. Fine. But you're not using my money to do it. You're making a huge mistake, he said, his voice hardening. You're going to regret this. Maybe, I said. But at least it'll be my mistake. I hung up. The phone exploded with messages after that. Patricia, furious and vicious. You're pathetic. You've always been jealous of me. This is sick. Mom, pleading, please, honey. Let's talk about this. We didn't mean to hurt you. We just thought Rachel needed this more. Please don't ruin this for everyone. Dad, cold and final. If this is how you want to be, fine. Don't expect us to forgive this. I read them all. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I opened my banking app one more time and looked at the disconnection requests I'd submitted for the utilities. Confirmed. Electrics shut off complete. Water terminated. Internet cancelled. They'd be gone for 5 days. By the time they got home, their house would be dark and cold. The Wi-Fi dead, the water off, and then they'd understand. I wasn't just their ATM, I was the foundation they'd been standing on, and I just pulled it out from under them. For the next 3 days, I didn't hear from them. I assumed they'd found a way home. Maybe they begged the airline for mercy. Maybe they borrowed money from a friend. I didn't know, and honestly I didn't care. What mattered was what happened next. I sat in a coffee shop downtown, the kind with low music and soft lighting, and I finalized the last pieces of my plan. The mortgage was the center of everything. 3 years ago, when Dad called me desperate and embarrassed, I hadn't just sent money, I'd taken over the payments entirely. But the house was still in their name. Legally, I had no claim to it. I'd been a silent partner in their survival, invisible on paper, except I wasn't completely invisible. 6 months into covering the mortgage, the bank had called me. They'd noticed a pattern of payments coming from an external account, mine, and they wanted to formalize the arrangement. They offered to add me as a co-borrower, a protection, they said, in case something happened. I'd agreed. I signed the papers. I became legally tied to a house I didn't live in for a family that barely remembered my birthday. Now, that signature was the key. I pulled up the loan documents on my laptop. There it was. My name, co-borrower, equal. Responsibility, equal authority. I called the bank. Hi, I need to discuss my mortgage account. The representative was polite, efficient. She pulled up the file. Yes, Mr. Rodriguez. What can I help you with today? I need to remove myself as a co-borrower and terminate automatic payment authorizations. A pause. I see. May I ask if the other borrowers are aware of this request? They will be, I said. She walked me through the process. Removing myself would require the primary borrowers, Mom and Dad, to refinance or assume the loan independently. Until then, the account would need to remain current, but I could revoke my payment authorizations immediately. Understood, I said. Please proceed with the revocation. Done. Your authorization has been removed. The primary borrowers will be notified of the upcoming payment responsibility. I thanked her and hung up. Then I logged into the insurance portal. 2 vehicles under my payment plan. I removed both cancellations effective in 72 hours. Next, I checked the utility accounts. The disconnection requests had already processed. Electric off, water off, internet terminated. Everything I'd been holding up for 3 years was now collapsing piece by piece, like pulling blocks from a tower. But I wasn't done. I opened my email and started drafting a message. The subject line was simple. Final statement. I attached the spreadsheet. 8 pages. Every transaction. Every dollar. Every time I'd said yes when I should have said no. Then I wrote the body of the email. No anger, no bitterness, just facts. For the last 3 years I have covered your mortgage, car insurance, utilities, and credit card payments. The total amount is $8,530. I did this because I thought it was what family did. I thought my help mattered, but when you gave my seat on the trip, I planned and paid for it to a stranger. You made it clear that my value to this family is financial, not personal. Effective immediately, I am ending all financial support. The mortgage, insurance, and utilities are now your responsibility. I will not be responding to calls, texts, or requests for money. I wish you well. Read it 3 times. My finger hovered over the send button. Then I pressed it. The email shot into the void. Time to arrive exactly when they'd be landing back in the US. I closed my laptop. I leaned back in my chair and stared out the window at the street beyond. People walking, living, moving through their own stories. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying anyone else's weight. I thought about what would happen when they got home, when they'd walk up to a dark house, when they'd try the lights and nothing would turn on, when they'd see the notice on the door. I thought about Patricia's face, Dad's silence, Mom's confusion, and I realized something. Didn't feel guilty, I felt free. They landed on a Thursday afternoon. I was at my desk when my phone started ringing. I didn't answer. I let it buzz and light up and go silent over and over like a heartbeat I no longer felt obligated to respond to. The first voicemail came from Mom. Brandon, we just got home. The power's off. The water isn't working. There's a notice on the door about the mortgage. Please call me. I don't understand what's happening. Her voice was small, confused, the kind of tone that used to make me rush to fix things. Not anymore. The second voicemail was Patricia. You're disgusting. You really turned off the power. What is wrong with you? Mom is crying. Dad is furious you're going to pay for this. I deleted it without finishing. The third was Dad. Brandon, I don't know what kind of game you think you're playing, but this ends now. You don't get to hold the family hostage because your feelings got hurt. Call me back. We need to talk. I almost laughed. Hold the family hostage. As if I'd been the one taking them hostage for 6 years. Forcing them to accept my money, guilting them into letting me help. The text came next. Dozens of them. A flood of panic and blame. Patricia, you're a psychopath. Mom, please, honey, let's fix this. Just tell us what you want. Dad, if you don't call back in the next hour, we're done. You hear me? Done. I set my phone on silent and made dinner, pasta, garlic bread, a glass of wine. I ate slowly, savoring the quiet. By the time I finished, there were 23 missed calls. At 8 p.m., I opened my laptop and checked my email. Mom had replied to my final statement. Brandon, I read your email. I had no idea you felt this way. We never meant to make you feel unappreciated. You've always been so strong, so capable. We just assumed you were okay. Please, let's talk. We can work this out. We're family. I read it twice. She still didn't get it. I typed her response. I was okay because I had no choice. You needed me to be okay so I could keep paying. But I'm done being strong for people who only see me when the bills are due. The mortgage is your responsibility now. The insurance, the utilities, all of it. I'm not your backup plan anymore. I hit send. Then I got a text from an unknown number. Rachel, hey, I just wanted to say I'm really sorry about what happened. I didn't know you were supposed to be on the trip. Patricia told me it was a family thing and they had an extra seat. I feel awful. I stared at the message. She didn't owe me an apology. She'd just been caught in the middle of something that had nothing to do with her. I texted back. It's not your fault. Enjoy the memories. She replied immediately. For what it's worth, they talked about you the whole trip. Not in a good way. Patricia kept saying you were jealous. Your mom seemed sad but didn't defend you. I felt uncomfortable the whole time. I read that message 3 times. They'd spent my money, taken my seat, and used the trip to villainize me. I didn't respond. I just blocked the number and set my phone down at 9 p.m. Dad called one last time. I answered. Brandon. His voice was sharp, controlled, the tone he used when he was trying not to yell. What exactly do you want? You've made your point. You're angry. Fine, but this is too far. Your mother is sitting in the dark crying. Patricia can't even look at us. You've humiliated this entire family. I let him finish. Then I spoke calm and clear. I humiliated you. I paid your mortgage for 3 years. I kept your lights on. I made sure your cars were insured. And the one time I asked for something just to be included, you gave my seat to a stranger. You didn't humiliate me, Dad. You erased me. Silence. You've always been so dramatic, he said finally. This is about a stupid plane ticket. No, I said it's about 6 years of being invisible. It's about being the family ATM and never hearing thank you. It's about realizing that the only time you say my name is when you need something. So what now? He said. You're just done. You're abandoning your family. You abandoned me first. I said, you just didn't notice because I kept paying the bills. I hung up. My phone didn't ring again that night. 3 months later I moved. Not far. Just across the city to a smaller place with better light and no history. A 1-bedroom with a balcony that overlooked a park. I bought new furniture. One hung art on the walls. I made it mine. The mortgage on their house went into default 6 weeks after I cut off payments. I got a notification from the bank they were behind. They'd missed 2 payments. Foreclosure proceedings would begin soon. I didn't intervene. Patricia called once. 2 months in. I didn't recognize the number at first, but when I answered, her voice was different. Quieter. Brandon, I need to talk to you. I almost hung up, but something in her tone stopped me. What do you want? Patricia, she hesitated. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much you were doing for us. I didn't realize how badly we treated you. I waited. Mom and Dad are losing the house. They're trying to refinance, but no one will approve them. They're talking about renting, maybe moving in with me. It's a mess. I know, I said. Another pause. Are you going to help them? The question hung between us. No, I said, I'm not. Brandon, I spent 6 years helping Patricia, and it was never enough. I'm not the villain in this story. I'm just the person who finally stopped letting you use me. She didn't argue, she just sighed. I get it. I really do. I wish things were different. Me too, I said, and then I hung up. Mom sent me a letter a few weeks later, actual paper in an envelope with a stamp. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity got the better of me. The letter was 3 pages long. She apologized. She said she didn't realize how much I'd been carrying. She said she missed me. She asked if we could try again. I read it once, folded it, and put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe I'd forgive them, but not today. Today I sat on my balcony with my coffee and watched the morning light filter through the trees. I thought about the person I used to be, the one who said yes to everything, the one who believed that love meant sacrifice. I didn't regret helping them, not entirely, but I regretted losing myself in the process. Now I was building something new, a life that wasn't defined by their needs, a life where my value wasn't measured in dollar signs. I started saying no to extra projects at work, to friends who only called when they needed favors, to anyone who mistook my kindness for weakness, and it felt good. I joined a hiking group. I took a weekend trip to the mountains, just me and a backpack. I sat by a lake at sunrise and felt something I hadn't felt in years, peace. My phone buzzed, a text from a coworker. Hey, a few of us are grabbing dinner tonight. You in? I thought about it. Then I smiled. Yeah, I'm in. I finished my coffee, stood up, and walked back inside. The apartment was quiet, but it wasn't empty. It was full of possibility, full of choices that were mine alone. I didn't know if my family would ever understand what they'd done. I didn't know if we'd ever fix what was broken between us, but I knew one thing. I was done being invisible. And for the first time in 6 years, I was okay with that.